After 5.5 years as Secretary-General, Jaap De Hoop Scheffer is preparing to hand over the leadership of NATO to his successor, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, the former Prime Minister of Denmark. He took stock of NATO's presence in Afghanistan, describing this as a critical effort towards stabilizing the region with global implications.
If we were to walk away, Afghanistan would fall to the Taliban with devastating effects for the people there, women in particular. Pakistan would suffer the consequences, with all that implies for international security. Central Asia would see extremism spread. Al-Qaeda would have a free run again, and as you know, Al-Qaeda's ambitions are global. This is not conjecture, this is fact. Those who argue otherwise, who say we can defend against terrorism from home, are simply burying their heads in the sand. That is not the way the world is anymore. As my predecessor, Lord Robertson, used to say, either we go to Afghanistan or Afghanistan will come to us. His dictum remains as valid as ever.
In general, his speech called for a radical new approach by NATO's member states. In this respect, he emphasized the need for stronger partnerships with international institutions, including the Arab League and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Strengthening links with the European Union should also be a priority.
Another truth of the new strategic environment is that NATO can no longer be a solo player. Quite the contrary, I would say. True success in Afghanistan requires civil reconstruction, something which NATO cannot provide, but which others must supply. If these other actors do not engage, NATO cannot truly succeed either. To put it bluntly, NATO's success depends increasingly on factors which lie outside the alliance's own control.
60 years after it was founded, the Secretary-General believed NATO can no longer operate as in the days of the Cold War. Whether in Afghanistan or elsewhere, members of the North Atlantic Treaty Alliance had to be ready to share commitments equally.
Another truth of the new security environment is that deterrence, the concept of avoiding conflict by displaying force rather than actually using it, is increasingly unworkable. To be sure, deterrence will continue to apply to relations among states, but you cannot deter civil wars or suicide terrorists, nor can you deter states from collapsing. Such challenges require, as I said, long-term engagements, and above all, with no guarantee of success. And any such missions have to be sustained against a public opinion that demands that something be done, and quickly, yet whose support can fade once the engagement turns out to be more difficult than expected. Moreover, we must contend with the widespread popular sentiment according to which the use of force always constitutes a failure of politics rather than a necessary tool in the toolbox.
Seeking stability beyond NATO's borders was also part of the organization's role, and in this respect, improving relations with Russia, allaying suspicions that may have arisen on either side, was a priority.
We must get the NATO-Russia relationship back on track. Russia's recent assertiveness has raised genuine security concerns, particularly among NATO's easternmost allies. It has also led some to question the future of NATO enlargement as a benign means of consolidating Europe. But most importantly, it has exposed the lack of Allied unity vis-à-vis Russia. This is, in my opinion, an untenable situation for NATO, but also for Russia. Because despite all our disagreements, we need each other more than we sometimes dare to admit. And I predict that as the new security environment unfolds, the number of common interests between NATO and Russia will grow. This will certainly not eliminate our disagreements on, say, NATO enlargement, the Conventional Forces in Europe Treaty, Georgia, and what happened there last year with the recognition by Russia of parts of Georgian territory. But I believe that we can get, and we should get, beyond the on-off nature of the NATO-Russia relationship.
He finished by describing NATO as playing a unique world role, but one that required a new understanding of Allied security and solidarity in an age of globalization.